I look back at the early 80s with real tenderness, actually.
On reflection, I think the 80s were an absolutely terrible and abysmal time.
The music smiled, and the clothes smiled.
Sometimes I do forget how important that time was, you know, and how exciting it was.
It came from the 80s, a home computer on every desk, a VCR under every cable-ready TV, not to mention the CD player, the Walkman, and the affordable synthesizer. Today, such technology readily serves up the buzz that was, as a haze of 80s nostalgia descends on a public that holds fond memories of the era's over-the-top music and attitudes. 80s superstars reshaped opinions about fashion, sex, relationships.
I'd like to advertise for a new band, please. I tell you what, should we film me whopping Sting?
Yes,
that would be good, wouldn't it?
That would be great.
Even politics.
Please give some TLC to the PYTs.
But the decade also spawned plenty of other artists who may be less visible in the 90s, but whose visual appeal a decade ago left an impact on pop culture, thanks in large part to a new entertainment form called the music video.
It's a completely new medium.
Well, it's the video age, I think.
I mean, there's so many one thing after another, after another, after another. With the music, I mean, why bother to listen to the radio anymore?
Video killed the radio star. Video killed the radio star.
I think at the time when we started, though, it was like a totally blank canvas. You know, nobody had really put any paint anywhere. And so anything you did looked new.
It was a real free-form, free-for-all, really. I mean, there were no rules, so I and the other video makers of that period could really just go out and do stuff.
The band didn't know anything about videos. We just got told, you're going to go in and make a video this afternoon. I think it took 2 or 3 hours to make it.
The video styles of the early 80s were it's kind of fashioned by, I think it was sort of David Bowie, Ashes to Ashes, and the Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Mondays.
The flavor of the month was to crank up the whites and burn everything out.
The directors who first favored the washed-out pastels and verite look of videotape moved on to new visual approaches.
Russell Mulcahy, who was, you know, one of the prominent directors in that field, came along and made things much more cinematic.
In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt down after you.
Videos gave a host of telegenic British pop bands who'd been denied radio airplay their first crack at stateside success, and the audience liked what it saw. But the performance requirements of the new form sent a shudder of fear down the backs of some album rock veterans.
It's a powerful tool, you know, but how I'm gonna address it or what I feel I'm gonna do with it, yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
While some artists were reluctant to move beyond lip syncing, others couldn't wait to strut their showbiz stuff.
You leave this house now! No one can tell us we're wrong.
I thought she loved me, but it seems she don't care.
I care enough to know that I can never love you.
But even as videos were making their first impression on America, some directors used a few eye-catching visuals over and over, creating the first video cliches.
With the money and time we had, we couldn't keep up that intensity of imagery for 4 minutes. So, you know, you had to sort of go back to some stock ideas which, you know, you knew would work anyway. Usually anything that had absolutely no reason to be there was used. Slow motion, water, birds, flowing pieces of material, paint down bodies, a horse wandering through the fog for no reason whatsoever. Sitting here now and talking about it sounds a little cheap and crass and whatever, but it really wasn't. I mean, because the things did work.
Always something there to remind me.
Ironically, the next few years it'll be a return to the 80s videos. After going through a decade of cringing at these early 80s videos, I'm sure we will find this charm that we'll try and recapture if we can.
Two bands that tasted success via videos included Men at Work, the Australian band whose offbeat instrumentation and down-under storytelling sliced through the era's synth pop.
A Vegemite sandwich.
Wish I had one now.
And the Spinal Tap-ish Quiet Riot, metal popsters whose Slade cover Come On Feel the Noise blew out radios in '83.
We're a sign of the times.
Ever since, their paths have been very different.
You come from a land down under.
The Men at Work split up in about, well, finally grind to a halt in 1985.
It's a business, you know, you gotta handle it like a business, and sometimes it's better to stay together than to break up.
Men at Work Best New Artist / Kiss of Death Award, 1982.
And we are the Men, and we'll see you again.
It is sometimes a funny thing that, you know, somebody who wins Best New Artist is never seen or heard of again.
I come from a land down under, where beer does flow, and the men they chunder, women too.
The other guys I haven't really seen or spoken with very much at all. There's been no particular reason to have contact, if you know what I mean.
Who can it be now? Who can it be now? Who can it be now? Who can it be now?
10 years, I've never stopped playing, but instead of playing to 300,000 people, we're playing to 300, but in the end, it's still the same relationship. You're up there playing, and if you're having a good time, they have a good time with you.
We are Quiet Riot, and we are back!
I thought when we first started in the 80s, we were cool in the 80s.
Hey, this is terrific.
Don't touch me. Oh, sorry. We got uncool after a little while. We started getting stupid.
1, 2, 3. Bang your head! Metal help will drive you mad!
The thing about being in a rock band is never having to grow up. It's being in a state of suspended adolescence, which I think pretty much goes real good for us.
In rock and roll, everyone is a winner, but it's up to you to decide who's gonna bang your head harder!
To actually try and recreate something from the past is not something that I feel particularly interested in doing. It was an episode of my life, and a very important one, but an episode nonetheless.
Quiet Riot is pretty much my whole sphere of thinking is on this band. It always has been, regardless of it's playing arenas or clubs or selling platinum records or just selling multiple records.
Synthesizer is a very hard word to pronounce, isn't it?
Hard to pronounce, but easy to play. And for the first time, relatively easy to buy. The People's synthesizer came from the 80s, and as a result, bands had greater access to cutting-edge music making and perfectly mechanized drumming than ever before.
The synthesizer, they could blanket. It sounded like you had the Philharmonic orchestra banging away behind you, but in fact, it was just this little box.
The 80s took the synthesizer out of the studio and into band members' basements, who found its infinite variety of sounds to be irresistible.
I think synthesizers were overdone, but it was like guitars when they first came out. It was the beginning of a new instrument. for rock and roll, and so everybody got real excited and overused them.
Talk about overused. Consider some fashions that came from the 80s, like painstakingly torn workout gear for the aerobic buffed flash dancer, or the suave suits, power garb, and over-the-top hair that became the era's fashion favorites.
I think if you can present something that is really complete with it, image, clothes, the group, everything ties in, that's great.
I think it's important that people have their own look.
We don't want to be like anybody else.
Who is this girl, Cindy Lauper, and why is she so unusual?
The 80s was the phenomenon and the rise and rise and rise of fashion as a medium that almost was striking a blow against music. Rock and roll style was actually becoming less important. The only manifested importance often by what he wore.
Some of the music going on right now is fashion music and has nothing to do with music. We are not fashion music.
Fashion took over to some extent without anybody realizing.
Keep feeling fascination, looking, learning, moving on.
Over the top? Materialistic? Perhaps. But it was the 80s after all, and it certainly wasn't boring. The I got mine ethic of the Reagan-Thatcher years found expression in the ostentatious dazzle of the era's apparel.
The more kind of avant-garde and off the wall it could be, the better.
Hair. One word describes the 80s, really. Hair.
There was one band that we toured with that so they're remembered more for their haircuts than they are for their music. But he was a hairdresser before he got into the band, and boy, I think he really lived it.
We were into White Rain hairspray, and Dale was wearing tons of makeup, had about 3 or 4 different hair colors. She was wearing things that she bought at the Plastic Mart. She looked like a piece of candy.
In the 80s, I was best naked, I'd say. And probably now that I'm 40, I'd still be best naked.
When I saw Boy George, I just thought, next.
They were just jealous because I was more gorgeous and more talented. That's just life.
Culture Club's Boy George brought the Blitz Kids' mix of reheated soul and gender-bending style to malls across America and opened the door to an influx of sexually ambiguous artists who were soon saddled with the era's favorite new adjective.
Androgynous is a trendy word, and I hate it.
But it was everywhere, as the fashion lines between male and female broke down as never before. Women such as Annie Lennox apprehended the authority of the buzz cut and the power suit, while men glammed it up with girlish glee.
You dye your hair, you used to wear sort of a bit of makeup and stuff like that. Not as much as Nick Rhodes, I might add.
And I want you, and I want you, and I want you so
My favorite thing about makeup, people walk up to me and say, you look better without it. I say, I hope so.
The whole 80s fashion thing, if you want to call it that, we saw 90% of our audience trying to emulate what we were wearing, so at the time it couldn't have been all that bad. You know, looking back at it now, sure, it was goofy, but at the time, everybody loved it. It was showbiz.
While acts like Adamant, A Flock of Seagulls, and Human League are riding the new revival for all it's worth, and putting out new product as well, other artists of the 80s have put some considerable distance between themselves and the excesses that made them famous. Cases in point, the Thompson Twins, the techno-pop trio whose big hats and hip beats got even Live Aid to dance. And Vanity, the Prince protege, who lingerie'd her way to fame as a sex-kittenish frontwoman. But that, as they'll tell you, was a long time ago.
Drive me wild. Come on, baby, drive me wild. Thank you, Jesus, thank you. Thank you, Jesus, thank you.
Most people know that I'm with the Lord now. If I did not have the power of the Lord in my life, I would probably be dead by now.
Hold me now.
place is sort of paradise, you know, but it's very primal. Tom and I, we'd been living in London, so we got on London burnout quite a bit. You know, it wasn't really happening for us anymore there.
We decided to come to the quietest place we could find.
So here we are, we built a house, we built a studio, we have 2 kids, we've got some great friends.
When I came to the Lord Jesus Christ, I threw about 1,000 tapes out of mine on every interview and every piece that I'd ever done and every video, everything.
We now have a new band called Babel. We're making records, plus we're making a film, and as well as that we're having the sculptures done on the land, and there's just lots of different things going on.
I haven't really talked to Prince in a couple of years now. I pray for him. If the Lord wanted me to talk to him today, the Lord will put him on my phone.
I spoke to Joe last night, actually.
Basically, the relationship's conducted over the telephone.
He tells such lies, that one, about what he does. I think he's doing soundscape music at the moment, working with one of our old engineers, you know, putting stuff together. But he's very secretive, you know, he only lets you know what he really wants you to know.
You got love, love on your side.
The best thing in the 80s.
We had the best parties.
We had a commitment to clothes.
You remember going on TV, making videos, doing Live Aid.
We took the best drugs.
Drugs was the worst thing about the 80s.
Bless the name of the Lord!
I was so messed up on drugs, and I never believed that I could actually be delivered from cocaine.
Yeah, such a pretty mess. We made such a pretty mess of my dress. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that we weren't supposed to fornicate. I thought it was okay to swear. And I learned that you can't keep this stuff under control. And I've also learned that the only way that you can do this is through the Lord Jesus Christ.
I think one thing that we learned from the Thompson twins is you can't go full on at it. You've got to spend time going off and having adventures in your life, whether they be adventures in love or adventures out there in the world.
I used to be in a band called Kajagoogoo. Boo hiss.
How many people have heard of Men at Work? Okay.
Have you ever heard of Madness?
No.
Not in the Head, as the popular music group. 24 hit records in a row. No?
How quickly we forget. But what did happen to the music acts that ruled the 80s? Well, there are some, like Duran Duran and Boy George, who never really went away. Many others have done film scores, like the ultra-successful Oingo Boingo mainstay Danny Elfman. Laura Branigan is just one of the singers who's tried TV, recently hitting the music beach with Baywatch's David Hasselhoff. While Germany's Nena, singer of 99 Luftballons, has become a mother of 3 who records children's albums. And Pete Burns is still fronting Dead or Alive with a noticeably new look.
Plastic surgery, I had my nose done, I messed about with college, and I use my face and body as, it's another tool or way of expressing myself. I've seen the very top and I've seen the very bottom. But I think I'm very good at what I do, not just looking, you know, singing and writing songs and producing. I'm very good at that, and that's all I need to be good at, and eventually I'll win through again.
We are Kajagoogoo. I'm Lamal.
I'm Nick Beggs.
Hang out, get backstage passes.
We were very close for quite a long time. It was when success came along and rifts appeared that the natural cracks in the armour start to show.
The manager convinced the band to fire me.
When Limahl and the band couldn't work together anymore, it was a very, very traumatic thing.
I do think possibly a second or third album could have just brought another 2 shy, but we'll never know.
While one-time superstar Rick James is super freaking in the state pen, his protégés, the Mary Jane Girls, have seen their songs be sampled by a host of rap artists.
This is a guest appearance, and it'll be nice to do one of the videos for ourselves again, but this is a lot of fun. Getting back together, working together is a lot of fun. I'm having a ball.
In grimmer news, AIDS claimed the life of Tarzan Boy singer Baltimora, while Frankie Goes to Hollywood frontman Holly Johnson continues to struggle with the disease. Other artists aren't making music their sole priority. Take technophile Gary Newman, who's moved from cars to planes.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all. I can lock on my doors. It's the only way to live in cars.
Like the Bay Area's Greg Kinn, Dee Snider, Twisted Sister's Bridge and Tunnel beauty queen, has brought his motor mouth to the DJ chair.
The show is a metal nation. Dig this!
More quietly, Cy Kernan of The Fix is taking his shot at the fashion industry.
Somebody said to me a year ago, we'd be making and selling hats today. I would have said, you're a bad hatter. I guess one thing does lead to another, and I'm still in the tunnel, and my past is directly behind me. And you can waste a lot of energy guessing what's going to come. But you just know, that if you are true to yourself, the past kind of pushes you along and you bumble by.
Video vamps and gender benders, suave suits and synthesizers. All of it came from the 80s and made its mark on style, if not on substance. But will the next generation keep the legacy alive?
You never heard the song Our House in the Middle of Our Street?
Yeah.
Well, that's Madness then.
Oh, right.
Right, good. We've sorted that out.
Okay, everybody listening? Pay attention, please.
In the 80s, I was somewhat notorious for being a bit of a loudmouth. I'm the one with the big mouth.
If you look at the history of pop music, it goes back to us.
Please.
I think we've got quite a lot to be ashamed of.
The worst moment was realizing that it had all gone horribly average.
It saddens me. Look at my eyes, I'm sad.
I don't really give two monkeys about people's opinions.
Things get so deep that your mind boggles.
I think we've about covered it, haven't we?